Hey everyone, welcome back to our podcast where we dive deep into the world of psychology and linguistics and so on, and we explore the ways in which our minds can influence our experiences and how languages and language can shape perception and the way we see the world. Today we're going to talk about a phenomenon that affects many people regardless of their success or achievements, which is called the imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is the experience of feeling like a fraud or imposter despite evidence of your competence or accomplishments. It's a pervasive and often debilitating feeling that can affect anyone, from high-achieving professionals to students and artists to YouTubers and a lot of professions. To better understand the imposter syndrome, we're going to take a closer look at what it is and how it can affect us. We're going to start this podcast by mentioning and explaining a little bit what the imposter syndrome is and why it's so common among people who they believe or pretend to have achieved something in their career. Imposter syndrome is a psychological phenomenon where individuals doubt their own abilities and accomplishments and have a persistent fear of being exposed as a fraud or imposter. It's common because it can affect anyone, regardless of their background, success, or achievement. No matter how successful or how young and old a person is, the imposter syndrome can affect basically everyone. In fact, research suggests that up to 70% of the people experience imposter syndrome at some point in their lives. And you can say that's a staggering number, so that's true. And before I researched a little bit about this phenomenon, I was so surprised to see that a lot of people deal with this syndrome, and most of them actually have no idea what this is. There are some common signs and symptoms of the imposter syndrome, especially people or psychologists who have studied these symptoms can easily tell, but most of the time normal people are not able to see the clues or the details. Some of the common signs of imposter syndrome include feeling like a fraud or doubting your own abilities, constantly seeking validation and reassurance from others, and also downplaying your own achievements, showing only your flaws, or most of the time hiding your achievements in front of other people, especially in front of a large audience, because you pretend and you feel like they're gonna judge you or you're not good enough, and they're going to claim otherwise. Individuals with imposter syndrome may also experience anxiety and stress and self-doubt and fear, especially the fear of failure. And you may ask, what are some of the underlying factors that can contribute to the imposter syndrome? We can mention a few. There are actually several factors that can contribute to imposter syndrome, including perfectionism, social comparison. There's also the lack of self-confidence. Most of the time, perfectionists often set high standards for themselves and feel like they can never live up to them, which can also contribute to the feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. Social comparison, or comparing oneself to others, can also contribute to imposter syndrome, as individuals may feel like they don't measure up to others who are better than them, or who they perceive as more successful or more accomplished. And lastly, we can say that a lack of confidence can make it difficult to internalize one's own achievement and accomplishments, which can contribute to feelings of being a fraud or an imposter. That's actually really interesting. How, you might ask, how can we overcome imposter syndrome, and how can we start to feel more confident in our abilities? According to psychologists, there are several strategies that can be helpful in overcoming imposter syndrome. One strategy is to practice self-compassion and acceptance, to understand your flaws, your abilities, your skills, and to be kind to yourself, rather than beating yourself up for perceiving failure or shortcomings. It's also important to recognize and internalize our own achievements and accomplishments, rather than downplaying them or attributing them to luck or other external factors. So accepting the outcome of some factors that we did something, we worked hard for a job, or we worked hard for a project, and then the outcome, the end result of that is our hard work. But sometimes the results are not based on external factors. Sometimes the results are not up to our hand, and we can't control everything. So the fact that we can accept that we have to do our job, our part, and then we wait for the result, is also one of the ways that we can help ourselves to overcome the imposter syndrome. Another way of helping ourselves can be seeking support from others, whether it's through therapy, coaching, talking, having conversations with people that you feel like they understand you more, friends and family, or people who can also be helpful in overcoming imposter syndrome based on their own experiences. Especially someone who has dealt with the imposter syndrome can easily understand and can empathize with you, and it's easy to talk to them. There's a lot of tips if you go out there, especially if you research. There's a lot of books that you can refer to, and we can switch gears a little bit and talk about the imposter syndrome in the workplace. How can you overcome, or how can you face the difficulties of the imposter syndrome if you are working in a company, in an institution, in a school, your own business, and so on? How can imposter syndrome affect our careers, you might ask, and what can we do to overcome it in the professional setting? It's one of the questions that I've asked myself in the past few years. Imposter syndrome can have a significant impact on our careers, as it can lead us to doubt our abilities and hold ourselves back from pursuing new opportunities or taking on new challenges. In the workplace, it can also contribute to feelings of burnout and stress, and we can feel like we're not doing enough, we're not good enough, we're not being validated enough, we're not being valued enough, and people don't know how important my job is or my work is. And as individuals, we may feel like we need to constantly prove ourselves, to work harder than others to compensate for our perceived inadequacies. Here are some interesting facts about the imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome affects people from all walks of life. Imposter syndrome is not limited to any particular profession or demographic. It can affect anyone, regardless of their age, gender, background, education, qualification, and so on. It's more common than you think it is. A lot of studies have shown that up to 70% of people experience imposter syndrome at some point in their lives. There is a misconception about the imposter syndrome, and some say that it's a mental disorder, which is not. Imposter syndrome can be distressing. It's not considered a mental disorder. Rather, it's a common experience that many people go through and deal with it, and also get better. So there's a way to overcome this. One of the main results, or one of the challenges of the imposter syndrome can be seen only when it's going to lead us to burnout. Another way to understand that we are going through the imposter syndrome difficulties is that we can see how our relationships change. So it can affect our relationships. Most of the time, people with the imposter syndrome may struggle to accept compliments, or may push away others, which can have a negative impact on their relationships because people don't know how to deal with them. Let's say one of the colleagues at work pays a compliment to you based on the work, or one of the projects that you have accomplished, and then you don't know how to react, or you say the wrong words at that time, in that moment. And people see this as a problem and don't know what's the source of the problem. Why can't you accept a compliment, or why do you react in an awkward way? We can say that it's not always a bad thing, because the imposter syndrome can also make us reflect and see beyond and meditate about our own flaws. It can also be a sign that you are pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and taking on new challenges. And it's important to recognize a positive aspect of the imposter syndrome and use it as a motivation to grow and develop further. Imposter syndrome touches a lot of personalities. If you have come across the Myers-Briggs personality types, we can mention a few details about that as well. Imposter syndrome can affect individuals from all personality types and traits. However, some personality traits may be more prone to experiencing the imposter syndrome than others. Here are a few examples. Perfectionists are people who often set extremely high standards for themselves and may struggle with feeling like they haven't met those expectations. Another type of personality that faces difficulties with the imposter syndrome are overachievers. Individuals who are overachievers may experience imposter syndrome because they feel like they're not living up to their potential or that their accomplishments aren't truly deserved. This can lead to a cycle of constantly pushing themselves to achieve more. Introverts as well may be more likely to experience the imposter syndrome because they tend to be more introspective and may be more likely to focus on their own shortcomings or flaws. So they look the flaws and problems from within. They don't easily express or talk about them with other people. And another type of personality that deals with this syndrome is the people-pleasing personalities. Individuals who are people pleasers may struggle with imposter syndrome because they worry about letting others down or not giving enough from themselves or not living up to their expectations. They may also feel like they're not being true to themselves, they're lying to themselves, which can lead to feelings of self-doubt. When it comes to personalities, another type that actually faces huge difficulties with this syndrome are highly creative individuals. People who work in creative fields may experience imposter syndrome because they often have to put themselves and their work out there for others to judge. So there's got to be someone who judges your work. And we can also mention that most people who judge our work are not prone or not expert. They don't have the right expertise to judge or value our own work. They may worry that their work isn't good enough or that they're not as talented as others in their field, in a particular field. It's important to note that while certain personality traits may make someone more susceptible to imposter syndrome, anyone can experience it regardless of their personality type. There have been many famous people who have openly talked about their struggle with the imposter syndrome. Here are a few examples. Maya Angelou, the late poet, author, and civil rights activist, once said, "I have written 11 books, but each time I think, oh, they're going to find out now. I've run a game on everybody and they're going to find me out." Tom Hanks, also, the Oscar-winning actor, has spoken publicly about his experience with the imposter syndrome, saying, "No matter what we've done, there comes a point where you think, how did I get here? When they are going to discover that? When are they going to discover that I am in fact a fraud and take everything away from me?" Another famous celebrity, former First Lady Michelle Obama, has revealed in her memoir, which is called Becoming, you can check that out later, that she has experienced the imposter syndrome throughout her life, saying, "I still have a little bit of imposter syndrome. It never goes away that you're actually listening to me. It doesn't go away. The feeling that you shouldn't take me that seriously." Albert Einstein also claims, the famous physicist, once wrote in a letter, quote, "The exaggerated esteem in which my life work is held makes me very ill at ease. I feel compelled to think of myself as an involuntary swindler." And this is all for today. Thank you for joining in our podcast. I guess I'll see you next time with the next episode.